Hi everyone, I really hope that you are all safe and sound. Well, as you can see, the lesson we will be dealing with today has to do with functions, and it is about responding to good news and bad news. So let's get started. We will first begin by reading a dialogue, then identifying the different pieces of news and how they were responded to. The person A, they have just announced the results and I finally passed the baccalaureate exam. B. What a great news! Though it took you a long time, my friend, we need to celebrate. A. We can't. My father is in a bad condition and he is at the hospital now. This isn't the right time for celebrating. Person B. I'm sorry to hear that. I wish him a speedy recovery. So, what is the first piece of news about? It's about the person A succeeding in the baccalaureate exam. Is it a good news or a bad news? Of course it is a good news. And how did the person B respond to it? What a great news. So we use what a great news to respond to good news. What about the second piece of news? It's about the person A's father being at the hospital because of his bad condition. Again, is this a good news or a bad news? It is a bad news. And how did the person B respond to it? I'm sorry to hear that. So we use I'm sorry to hear that to respond to bad news. Do you think that what a great news is the only expression that we can use to respond to good news? Of course not. There are many other expressions which we will see right now. I'm glad to hear that. Oh my goodness, great news. Sounds great. Superb news. Lucky you. What a great news. That's a wonderful news. That's a terrific news. That's a fantastic news. And that's a marvelous news. And finally, congratulations. Expressions that we can use to respond to bad news. There is, oh dear, too bad, poor you, please accept my sympathy. What a bad news, what a terrible news. I sympathize with you. I feel sorry for that. And finally, I can't believe it. So these are the different expressions that can be used to respond to bad news. In this exercise, we have four different pieces of news, and we need to respond to them appropriately using the most suitable expressions. The first one is, they have just announced that tomorrow is the last day of quarantine. So, is this a good news or a bad news? It is a good news. And how can we respond to it? Oh my goodness, great news, superb news, that's a wonderful news, and many other options. The second one is, many countries have declared that they are affected by coronavirus. Again, is this a good news or a bad news? It is a bad news, and we can respond to it using what a terrible news, I can't believe it, and so on and so on. Now let's move on to the third one. A Moroccan student won an international public speaking contest in 2019. So, is this a good news or a bad news? It is clearly a good news. And how can we respond to it? I'm glad to hear that. That's a marvelous news. That's a fantastic news. Congratulations, etc. And the last one is no vaccination against coronavirus is available for the time being. So, this is a bad news, and we can respond to it using too bad, oh dear, and many other options. That's all for today. I hope this lesson will be of a great help to you. Thank you for your cooperation, and don't forget to stay safe.